Iyan. Magandang araw sa ating lahat. So, this is Ruel Giolila. Today, we're going to discuss uh, the basic principles underlying the methods of research. Okay, so are you ready now? Okay, so there are so many definitions of research. There were several definitions given by Good, Aquino, Manuel, and Medel, and so many more. According to Good, it is a careful, critical, disciplined inquiry varying in technique and method according to the nature and conditions of the problem identified, directed toward the clarification of or resolution of a problem. So you can actually observe that based from the definition given by Good, there were definitions or descriptions which are actually included in the definition. It's careful, critical, disciplined inquiry that varies in technique and method. Okay. And then according to Aquino, it is simply the systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic or problem. For Manuel and Medel, it is the process of gathering or information to solve a particular or specific problem in a scientific manner. Generally, it is a purposive, systematic, and scientific process of gathering, analyzing, classifying, organizing, presenting, and interpreting data for the collation of a problem or prediction, for invention, for the discovery of truth, or for the expansion or verification of existing knowledge, all for the preservation and improvement of the quality of human life. When we talk about all for the preservation and improvement of the quality of human life, this is the general purpose of research. We research, we try to discover something new, and the purpose of this research is to serve man, and our ultimate goal is to have a good life. And because of research, man has attained great accelerating progress, and we are now enjoying the products of research. We are enjoying the products of research in its literal sense. It means that everything that we have today is a product of research. When we feel, for example, uncomfortable because of a very warm weather, we can simply switch on the electric fan or even the air conditioner. Okay. When we feel like bored or when we are actually missing somebody, and since, like, for example, our loved one has to work outside or somewhere else, we can simply grab our phone, chat with them, do video call, or call them literally. So it was able to do something about the present conditions that we have right now, and the products of research enables us to uh, overcome the different challenges, the related to distance, related to communication, related to education, to business, government, management, and so many more. And I will repeat, because man has, because of research, man has attained great accelerating progress, and we are now enjoying the products of research. If we can still remember the history of civilization, the ancient uh, cave men and women during the prehistoric times. They begin from the simple uh, gathering and hunting. They lived in caves. They are cave dwellers. When they feel hungry, they will simply get out of the caves and then look for food. And if their hunger has been satisfied, they can simply go back to sleep. But until such time that they accidentally or purposely discovered something in the environment, until such time that they were able to discover fire, they discovered the use of the wheel, and that enables them to perform basic work that help them do all their daily tasks and concerns with ease, and with much faster uh, and much faster. Okay, until such time that, for example, today we are now enjoying the products of research in the field, in the different fields. We were able to take advantage, and actually the Zoom that we are using right now is a milestone in the discovery and quest of man for continuous knowledge. Okay, so there are specific purposes of research. Number one, to discover new facts about known phenomena. If you can still remember during your high school days, there were significant number of elements which are included in the periodic table, but based from your science teachers, diba? Scientists are continuously discovering new elements that they discovered in time. So this is an actual advantage or purpose of research. We continuously seek for knowledge which are not yet available. And once discovered, it may serve a particular purpose, maybe in the field of science or technology, or it might be in the form of social, the improvement of the social condition, and many more. Another is to find answers to problems which are only partially solved by existing methods and information. During the heights of the different civilizations, there were actually series of plague or actually pandemics that ravaged not only a particular country, a continent, but the world. Okay, like for example, the Black Death that resulted to the death of millions of people in Europe, and that's why it's called as uh, a Black Death. Okay, and then during the ancient times, malaria is also a kind of disease in which that killed even thousands or millions of people around the world, because during the time they don't know yet the vaccines. The scientists were not able to discover the vaccines that they need in order to cure uh, that this kind of diseases. Okay, so they were partially solved by the existing methods and information, and so research has to deeply dwell into the different or the possibility of discovering a new drug or a new technique or method that will lead to the total uh, that will lead to the total drug or a total answer to the existing problem that we have right now. So improve existing techniques and develop new instruments or product. We discover previously unrecognized substances or elements, like what I've said a while ago. We discover pathways of action of known substances and elements, valid generalizations into systematized science to provide basis for decision-making business, industry, education, government, and in other undertakings. If you can still remember, like for example, in education, we used to believe that in the old pedagogy, the teacher is the center of the teaching and learning process. But nowadays, we believe that it should be the center, that the student must be the center of the teaching and learning process. The shift from the traditional education, the shift from teacher-centered to the student-centered education is actually related to the 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 purpose of research which are being used or utilized for the purpose of doing decision in the field of business, in the industry, in education, government, in other undertakings. And at the same time, it satisfies also the researcher's curiosity. Another is to find answers to queries by means of scientific methods, to acquire a better and deeper understanding about one phenomenon that can be known and understood better by research, to expand or verify existing knowledge. Like, for example, if you had came across with a variety of paper about a particular topic, for example, in education, in leadership, in teaching methodology or strategies, and those titles are consistently being reviewed and studied by different authors across regions, across countries, and across continents. It is not actually bad, because the more we do research about an existing knowledge, the more that we can actually improve uh, and check the existing practices, especially if they are still relevant to the present. And then to improve educational practices for raising the quality of school products. Like, for example, in the education department, we would like to develop a globally competitive teachers, okay, that will serve with the highest dedication and commitment to the teaching profession. But how do you think we can do that? We really have to commit to discipline. We really have to commit to our higher purpose as teachers. Okay, so if we wanted to improve the quality of the graduates that we have, for example, in our institution, we really have to improve the manner we do things, the quality of education. We really have to improve the and support the quality of teachers that we have, that the facilities, the laboratory that we need, and also the the relationship that we need to establish to stakeholders, especially because that will they will actually give us feedback with regard to how are we doing and what are the quality of graduates that we produce in our institution to promote health and prolong life. Okay, this is actually in the field of science and technology and in medicine. In time, we were able to discover different kinds of drugs that sustained, okay, and prolong life of people. Okay, we were able to cure the diseases which has been prevalent and causes death among millions of people in the previous centuries. Okay, like for example, in the present, stem cell engineering is one of the new trends in the field of technology, in the field of science, in the field of medicine, in order to deal with the problems related to aging. Okay, to provide man with more of his basic necessities or basic needs. Like for example, in the field of farming, if we do things manually before, especially in planting, harvesting our agricultural products, there are actually countries who are now resorting to machine or computer operated technologies that instead of doing things manually, they allow the technology, the computer, the robots to do the task, and that resulted to a significant or remarkable increase in their harvest. So they don't need to manually do all those things. Let they let the only the robots, the computers to do the task. And this also to make work, travel, and communication faster, easier, and more comfortable. If we can still remember in history during the ancient times, the most practical means of transportation is actually boats, horses, or the people have to manually walk. But today, we were able to discover technologies. We have airplane and other medium of communication both in land and in water that allows the mobility of people not only from one place to another, from one country to another, from one continent to another. And that makes our communication faster, easier, and more comfortable. The characteristics of good research are the following. Research gathers new knowledge or data from primary or first-hand sources. Research is expert, systematic, and accurate investigation. Research is logical and objective, applying every possible to to verify the data collected and the procedures employed. Research endeavors to organize data in quantitative terms, if possible, and express them as numerical measures, and research is carefully recorded and reported. It is also systematic, controlled, empirical, analytical, objective, unbiased, and logical, employs hypotheses, quantitative or statistical methods. It is original work done by expert, accurate investigation, observation, and description, patient and unhurried activity, requires an effort making capacity, and it also requires courage. So these are the qualities of or characteristics of a good research. Okay, it is an original work done by expert, accurate investigation. It is patient and unhurried activity. So you are not supposed to do a particular research just for the sake of completing a particular task. Like for example, your only time frame is only 1 month because you really have to do this in order for you to graduate. Although that's actually the reason why, but we have to remember that there are uh, actually higher or more valid reason for engaging in research. We wanted to contribute in the field of knowledge. And if our particular research topics will require us to work for a significant number of months or years or even decades, like what researchers do, okay, so we really have to be patient and we should not hurry in order to come up with a more valid and reliable research. It is an effort making capacity and it also requires courage, considering that you're going to deal with a lot of concerns which are beyond your comfort zone. Like, for example, in ethnographic research, you really have to do an immersion activity with a particular tribe. For example, if the tribe is your target respondent. So you really have to live with them, immerse with them, join them for a particular period of time in order for you to have a clear grasp and understanding of their lives, the cultural traditions, their heritage, and their significant contributions uh, as a cultural community in our country. So let's now proceed to the title. So these are the guidelines in writing the title. The title is formulated before the start of the research work. It may be revised and refined later if there is a need. So you don't have to worry whether your title is actually related or consistent to the statement of the problem or to your related literature, because the title can be revised and refined later if there is really a need. The title must contain the subject matter of the study, the locale of the study, the population involved, and the period when the data were gathered or will be gathered. It must be broad enough to include all aspects of the subject matter studied or to be studied. Hence, the title indicates what is expected to be found inside the thesis report. It is just be as brief and concise as possible. Avoid using the terms an analysis of, a study of, an investigation of, and the like. All these things are understood to have been done or to be done when research is conducted. If the title contains more than one line, it must be written like an inverted pyramid, all words in capital letters. Example, the teaching of science in the high schools of Province A as perceived by the science teachers and students during the school year 2000 and 2011. So the contents required by guideline number 2 are the following: A, subject matter, the teaching of science. And then letter B, locale of the study, high schools of Province A. C, population involved, the science teachers and students. And letter D, the period of study, school year 2000 and 2001. The teaching of science in the high schools of Province A. It will be noted that the population, the science teachers and students, as well as the period of study are omitted when writing the second form, but they have to be mentioned in the scope and the limitation of the study. It will be noted also that the title, though brief and simplified, is broad enough to include all possible aspects of subject matter. The central theme, which is the teaching of science, is also very clear. In writing the statement of the problem, these are the following guidelines. The general statement of the problem and the specific subproblems or questions should be formulated first before conducting the research. The statement of the problem and the specific subproblems or questions should be formulated first because this will serve as your uh, guide. If you will immediately conduct research without knowing the limitations, the boundaries, and the scope of your research, uh, it will become it will result to a more complicated uh, research because you don't know where your research will go, and you will not, or you will fail to realize the true intentions and objectives of your research. It is also customary to state specific subproblems in the interrogative form. Hence, problems are called specific questions, and each specific question must be clear and unequivocal. That is, it has only one meaning. It must not have dual meanings. Each specific question is researchable apart from the other questions, that is, answers. The specific question can be found even without considering the other questions. Number 5, each specific question must be based upon known facts and phenomena. Besides data from such known facts and phenomena, it must be accessible to make the specific question researchable. Number 6, answers to each specific question can be interpreted apart from the answers to other specific questions. And number seven, answers to each specific question must contribute to the development of the whole research problem or topic. Number eight, summing up the answers to all specific questions will give a complete development of the entire study, and the number of specific questions should be enough to cover the development of the whole research problem or study. If the research topic is the teaching of science, the different aspects may be the following. For example, the qualifications of the teachers, methods and strategies of teaching use and their level of effectiveness, facilities available, instructional and non-instructional, and their adequacy of supervisory assistance extended to teachers, comparison between the perceptions of the teachers and those of the students concerning the different aspects, problems encountered by the teachers in teaching science, and proposals to solve or help the problems and implications of the study to the teaching of science. Generally, there should be a general statement of the problem, and then this would be broken up into as many sub-problems or specific questions as necessary. For example, how qualified are the teachers handling science in the high schools of province A? How effective are the methods and strategies used by teachers in teaching science? How adequate are the instructional as well as non instructional facilities for the teaching of science? How adequate are the forms of supervisory assistance extended to the teachers and relative to the teaching of science? Is there any significant difference between the perceptions of the teachers and those of the students concerning the different aspects in the teaching of science? What problems are being encountered by the teachers of science? What suggestions are offered by the teachers and students to improve the teaching of science? And what are the implications of the findings of the teaching of science? Okay, ayan. So, yan. When it comes to writing the writing of assumptions, yeah, it is according to the definition that we have here. It is a self-evident truth which is based upon a known fact or phenomenon. But in historical and descriptive researches, assumptions are not explicitly expressed, but they are left implicit. That is, they are unwritten. Every specific question is implicitly based upon an unwritten assumption. If there is no assumption, express or implicit, there can be no specific question. Okay, next. So, guidelines in the use